Last year there was a water main break in front of my house, and they sent a crew out to repair the problem, and these guys came out and they created an enormous hole in the street in front of my house. Well, you know, I'm a pretty curious guy, so I went out and I took a peek into the hole to see what was down in there. And I saw something that I did not expect that I was going to see. I saw what looked like a railroad track just below the surface of the street, like 6 inches below the surface of the street. And I thought to myself, that's pretty interesting. Never knew that that was there, so I did a little bit of research. And I found out that this, in fact, was line number 47 of a citywide streetcar system that had been in the city until, on my street at least, 1925, and that there were upwards of 80 streetcar lines in that network. Now, I knew that there was a rich history of transportation and public transportation in the city of Cincinnati, but it had never hit that close to home, pun intended, before. I was fascinated. Now, I've had experience with public transportation, lived in Japan for 4 years, and I feel like we have similar experiences as the last speaker and myself. So I understand how great it can be to have public transportation and to have an appreciation for that. So I started to think about what it must have been like back then with all these streetcars running around and the access that people must have had to public transportation in Cincinnati way back then. And I started to compare that to my current options, which I think are fairly limited for moving around. So this comparison of what was in Cincinnati and the current state, I think is really interesting. And I think it's interesting in this city because Cincinnati has a lot of history. You know, some people would say that Cincinnati is conservative. One famous author, I think you know this guy probably, said something about everything here happening later than everywhere else in the world. I don't know, remember his name, it's not important. So, you know, we have a lot of firsts in the city. We have the ability to be very forward-thinking and progressive. We had the first professional baseball team. We had the first municipal university, University of Cincinnati, who developed the first cooperative education program. We actually had the first, as I understand, city-built and run major railway in Cincinnati. So really interesting history. So when we compare that to our current state and we think about the future and Cincinnati transforming into the future, you know, it's key that public transportation is going to be there. It's going to be a part of that transformation. And I think that it really would behoove us to get all of the people involved, all of the stakeholders, including the general public, regular everyday Cincinnatians, into the discussion about what it really means to have effective, high-quality public transportation. So I'd like to share with you today, and this is not even the slide that I'm supposed to have here. That's what's supposed to be behind me. I'd like to share with you today an exciting and ambitious project with which I've been involved. Transforum, discussing the future of Cincinnati public transit. So the University of Cincinnati and the Live Well Collaborative also feel that public transportation in Cincinnati is going to be key to our successful transformation into the future. And they sponsored a 30-week, 3-phase design studio to look a little deeper into the topic of public transportation. And this course was comprised largely of College of Design, Architecture, Art, and Planning students, and was therefore able to capitalize on the tremendous capability of the college. You know, there really isn't any design problem that DAAP can't solve. And I think that there's no problem in the world that design and design thinking cannot address. So the studio focused on the neighborhoods of Cincinnati as being the backbone that really bring character to the city. And of the 52 neighborhoods, our studio focused on 8 in particular. And we designed stops and stations as well as vehicles that were based on the characteristics, the qualities of those neighborhoods. In the summer session of the studio, we were completely energized by the fact that the federal funding came through for the streetcar plan downtown. And this really became our main directive as we got out into the city and we interfaced with everyday Cincinnatians we had a number of tools that we used as we got out into the city and started to have conversations with people and engage them. And you would have probably seen, hopefully by now, in the lobby sitting, there is our mobile kiosk. And while it looks like a regular streetcar stop or bus stop, it actually is our dialogue machine of sorts. It has information about the history of public transportation in the city. It has some factual information about the streetcar plan downtown. It also has, and probably most importantly, a whiteboard that can collect the thoughts, the questions, the opinions of people in the city. And I did see some people had commented on that today. I saw some great comments, actually. One was, the streetcar was a major contributing factor to me moving downtown. I saw, the future is rail, bring back the inclines, I saw. So some good comments there. But, you know, as you can expect, they weren't all positive, all the things that we heard as our mobile kiosk moved around the city, traveled around and was placed at events and different festivals around town. So, and that's important because we want to hear everything. We want to hear all of the hard questions, and we want to hear some of the negative comments, and we want to hear some of the real issues that people have with public transportation and the streetcar system downtown. So, you know, we need to have buy-in. We need to have people excited about public transportation for this to work this time. We want it to stick this time and stay, right? So it's hard to tell someone, hey, you don't know it yet, but you're going to love this, right? Whether that's a new breakfast cereal or that's a new way to move around the city. So our studio created a number of experiential videos so that people could vicariously experience the streetcar downtown without having ridden it. And we based those on some actual activities that some people might engage in. So for example, a family living in the Gateway Quarter that wants to go to the zoo, and we just saw there's a lot of great stuff to see at the zoo. They don't have a car, so they could use a streetcar for that. A young professional from Hyde Park who works downtown, and she wants to go to lunch, but she doesn't want to pay for parking, so she can get across the downtown by the streetcar. And an elderly gentleman living downtown that needs to get up to UC Medical Center, for example. So there's so much more than I have time to tell you about in this short period today, and I would urge you to check out our website, which has been the backbone of our project. There is a tremendous amount of information there, and you'll be able to see all of the additional products that we made in our studio. You'll also be able to connect to a lot of information about the other groups in town who are proponents of advancement in public transportation in the city. And, you know, I also encourage you to do a little bit of snooping of your own to see if perhaps there was a streetcar or you know, a train running through your neighborhood some 50, 70, 90 years ago, and to think about that for a moment, and just think about what that must have been like if that was the case. Should be running down some of your streets, there were 80 of them, and ask yourself, you know, what is that reality like versus what my current choices are in terms of moving about the city? And then also to envision the future. What would it be? You know, what could you envision that would really connect with you, that would really, you know, help you out? So I truly feel that working together, we can get this city, a city that has tremendous innovative potential, tremendous progressive potential, back on track to a better, brighter future through public transportation advancement. Thanks very much. That's been a little bit of Transforum.